Cleveland Magazine came out recently with their Best Places to Live issue, and I'm going to give you my reaction to their rankings of the top 10 cities and suburbs in Cleveland, Ohio. And as a bonus, if you stay till the end, I'm going to share with you the cities that have the highest price homes, the highest property taxes, and of course, the highest 10-year appreciation. Now, if you're interested in checking out the magazine, it is the June 2023 edition. I'll tell you, of course, what I agree with, what I disagree with, and any other opinions that come to mind. Hey, it's Joel Gableman with Gableman Group and Red One Realty. If this is your first time to living in Cleveland, then welcome. We focus on helping families get more space, whether your kids are getting bigger, or your in-laws are coming in to move in with you, or you're just tired of where you're living. If you need more space, we've got you covered. After growing up here in Cleveland, Ohio, I left for about 10 years working in commercial banking after my MBA in Chicago, then San Francisco, and I stole my wife from Chicago and then moved it back to Cleveland, where I've been living here for 7 years. My goal is really to give you guys good decisions so you can make a smart move when the time is right. Now, we've got people reaching out to us from in the city, outside of the city, outside of the state, and sometimes even outside of the country. We love hearing from people. So if you have any questions or you need to reach out and get some info, give us a call, text, email. Information is below as well as in the description. You could even schedule a Zoom call with us. All that said, let's get into the rankings. Starting with number 10, I'm going to go in reverse order, is Bay Village. Now, Bay Village was ranked number 7 last year, so they had a slight drop. And some other rankings for Bay, number 14 for safety, number 11 for education. They have a median home price of around $285,000. And Bay, it's a great West Side city. 93% of the area is owner occupied, and taxes are reasonable. They're around 2.8%. Also nice, Bay's got a lot of sidewalks. Got a solid population. They have a little over 16,000 people. It's a more affluent neighborhood, of course. 6.3% is the diversity score. So not a ton of diversity, but personally, Bay is one of the nicer and more affluent areas in the West Side suburbs. I don't know if I agree with the decline from number 7 to number 10.
I don't agree.
But let's look at the other cities. So let's jump into number 9. Number 9 is Brecksville. No change from last year. Safety was number 5. Education, number 7. Median home price, this is in 2022, was $360,000-ish dollars. 82% of the homes are owner occupied. Sales tax was just 2.2%, so that's not so bad. 13% of the roads have sidewalks, and population size is around 13,600. A little more diverse, around 12.5% diversity for Brecksville. Growing up, when I was younger, I used to ski and actually teach skiing at Boston Mills Brandywine. I used to drive through Brecksville all the time. I kind of clump Brecksville and Independence, Ohio together. They're right next door. But, I would also define Brecksville not as an east or west side city, more of a south city. Still super close to Cleveland, just a different vibe, a little bit of a different energy. So let's get on. It's a great area. Let's get on to number 8 of Cleveland Magazine's rankings, and that is one of my favorite cities, Chagrin Falls. Actually, it's a jump up from last year. They were number 10 ranked last year. Safety ranking of 16, education ranking of 6, higher median home price around $427,000. Most of the homes, around 80%, are owner occupied. Sales tax around 2.6%, and sidewalks about 34%. Low population on 4,100, and diversity is relatively low also, just around 7%. Number 7 is Westlake. We had a nice climb in Westlake. It was number 12 last year. Safety was 41. Not amazing. Schools are solid at 13. Median home price, $354,000. Low property taxes, just 1.9%, with a ton of sidewalks. Actually, about 100% of the streets have sidewalks. It's understandable. It is a top 10 city. Larger, around 34,000 people. Diversity is around 14%. And personally, Westlake is one of my favorite suburbs. It's right next to Rocky River and Bay on the west side suburbs. It's a solid top 10 for sure, and certainly respectable at number 7. But we are pummeling up to the top 5. It's a good transition. We're going to get number 6 is Rocky River. Now, Rocky River was 2 last year, and now number 6. Safety was 26, with education number 5, median home price of $355,000, 2.3% sales tax. A lot of sidewalks, around 21,500 people, and diversity around 7.3%. Rocky River is a great area. Westlake and Rocky River are both excellent west side suburbs. It's hard to say which one I like better. Now, does Westlake deserve an increase from 12 to number 7? Why not? Sure. Rocky River, does it deserve to be a decline from number 2 last year to number 6 this year? Well, we are getting closer. We're now going to jump into the top 5. We can compare a little easier. Number 5.
These guys are the best of the best.
Hudson, Ohio. Now, I knew Hudson was going to be a top 10 choice, and top 5 makes sense too. Hudson saw a climb from last year, going from number 8 to number 5. It is a great east side suburb. Excellent schools, excellent communities. Hudson is number 10 for safety, number 3 for education. Higher median home prices, around $430,000. Great property taxes, only around 1.95%. Not a ton of sidewalks, around 26% of the city has sidewalks. Larger population, just around 23,000 people. It's a more affluent suburb in Cleveland, so as far as the population living below the poverty limit, it's only 3%. And diversity-wise, it's just around 10%. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. Now, number 4, it also showed a decline from number 1 last year. Number 1 from last year, number 4 this year is Beechwood, Ohio. Put a link in one of the corners to the video I did that you can check out on Beechwood. Might be the perfect city for you. You have to take a look. And a safety rating of 60. 60! Now, candidly, it would not surprise me. There has been more crime around Beechwood Mall. That would not surprise me why that was a part of the decline from number 1 to number 4. Still a top 5. Median home prices just shy of $350,000. Property taxes just a little bit north of 2%. 90% of the roads have sidewalks. Right around 14,000 people, and around 5% live below that poverty level. Diversity is actually solid. It's around 25%. I'm a big fan of Beechwood. They've got great schools. It's close to freeways, great homes. And of course, I cannot forget in the summer, the amazing pool and playground. But wait, we are breaking into the top 3.
Let's do this.
Can you guess number 3? Any of the top 3? So top 3, if you were thinking about Solon, Ohio, then congratulations. The Solon is number 3 in 2023. No surprise, high ranking as the educational system is number 1. The city is very coveted for families. Solon jumped up 3 rankings from number 6 last year to number 3 this year. Of course, besides the school systems, talking about the houses, the median home price is around $340,000. 84% of the homes in Solon are owner-occupied, and a relatively low tax rate, property tax rate, around 2.3%. Safety is a little higher at number 24. 24% of the roads have sidewalks. Population is robust, around 24,000 people. Solon also has one of the more diverse neighborhoods, sitting around 33% diversity. I'll be making a video specifically on Solon in the near future. As I mentioned, it is very coveted by families, as it's also close to freeways, a little bit more of a trek from Cleveland, great homes, and also it's a more affluent neighborhood. Of course, we'll talk more about Solon in the future videos. My only slight knock on Solon,
I've got one tiny thing, just one small issue.
As I mentioned, it's a little bit further away from downtown, and at times the city can feel a little sterile, not a really strong neighborhood presence, but that's mainly in part due to not having a ton of restaurants or what I would call destination retail. Also a fair amount of warehouse and industrial properties in the city of Solon, which certainly help to subsidize for lower taxes, but also certainly gives the city a little bit of a different vibe. Okay, we're getting closer to number 1, but before we get to number 1, we of course have to talk about number 2, which is Moreland Hills. Moreland Hills had an increase from their number 4 ranking last year. Safety rank in 2023 for Moreland Hills is number 1. Education is number 4. Moreland Hills is in the Orange School District. Moreland Hills is also a smaller community than some of the others on the list. Only 39 homes total sold in 2022. Moreland Hills also has one of the highest median home prices at just north of $500,000. Property taxes are quite reasonable, around 2.3%. Low population, as I mentioned. It's just shy of 3,500 people. Only 2% are living below the poverty level. Diversity also is relatively low, around 9%. Now, personally, Moreland Hills is a great city. It's smaller and more affluent, aka expensive, which is why I was a tad surprised at a number 2 ranking, but being extremely safe and having great schools. I do see how Cleveland Magazine ranked it so high. I think number 2 is a bit too high though. Like I said, I grew up in that area, so I know the area pretty well. It's just a small, really, really nice pocket. Number 2 of all cities, I don't know. But look, let's be honest. The top 5, maybe even the top 10, top 20 could easily be justified. There is some subjective and objective opinions that go into it. You could certainly shift a lot of these cities around, and I get why Moreland Hills is ranked so high. Now, let's get into number 1.
Number one.
I'm going to give you a couple hints here. It is an east side suburb. Go east side. I'm just kidding. I'm going to do a video about the east side and west side. You know, I grew up as an east sider, but both east side and west side have amazing areas. Certainly different views, but I'm going to give you another hint. I mentioned the city earlier in the video. Give up. Number 1 is Pepper Pike, Ohio. Pepper Pike had an increase. They were number 3 last year, number 1 this year. They have a safety ranking of 6, an education ranking of 4. No surprise, the same school district as Moreland Hills. And the median home price of Pepper Pike, it's just shy of $500,000. And if you got to get granular and compare Pepper Pike with Moreland Hills, in 2022 for the year, Moreland Hills had a median home price of $505,000 compared to Pepper Pike's $495,000. So very, very, very similar. Property taxes are right around 2.2%. Slight negative, something my wife doesn't like, is only 1% of the roads have sidewalks compared to Moreland Hills, where none of the roads have sidewalks. It's about the same. Pepper Pike also has frankly, a relatively nice diversity percentage compared to the other suburbs. Pepper Pike is sitting at around 27%. Let's go briefly over just a quick summary of some of my personal thoughts and opinions. Of the top 10 cities that we just went through, 3 of the 10 are west side. Brecksville I would actually define, as I mentioned, as a south side. The rest are all east side. Now, does that mean that east side is better than west side? No. Frankly, on any given day, you could rearrange some of those top 10, maybe even those top 20 cities and justify why they should be in the top 3 or top 5. You know, Beechwood went from number 1 last year to number 4 this year. Pepper Pike is number 1 from number 3 last year. Chagrin Falls climbed up 2 spots to number 8. And Westlake jumped from 12 last year to number 7. Rocky River was number 2 last year. You know, a west side suburb that fell to number 6. All the suburbs are great areas. And just, again, we're talking about these top 10 that we're discussing. You know, a lot of clients of mine love to live in. Certainly, there's a different vibe in these locations. Some families prefer having sidewalks for walking. Some of my clients favor neighborhoods that provide more diversity considerations. But the top 10 to 20 Cleveland Magazine picks are excellent choices for people certainly to consider. I do want to talk briefly about some honorable mentions. Broadview Heights was number 11. It actually jumped up 8 spots from number 19 last year. Orange Village was number 12. It actually dropped from its crown of number 5 last year. And Shaker climbed up 2 spots from number 15 to 13, probably in part due to one of the highest property taxes at 3.7%. Also a number 29 safety rating and number 16 educational rating. Beechwood has a 60th safety rating. Again, would attribute that there's a fair amount of crime that was noted around Beechwood Mall. The good news is I didn't see a ton of crime in the residential areas, but I would not be surprised if that contributed to the lower ranking. Educational rank of Beechwood is number 2, and the $350,000 median home price from last year, combined with its 25% diversity, keeps it in its number 5. For those curious, I'll just read through the top 2023 ranks. The top 20 will include numbers 11 through 20 backwards briefly. Starting with 20 is Avon, then North Royalton, Richfield, Bath, Twinsburg, Aurora, Highland Heights, Shaker Heights, Orange Village, Broadview Heights, and then from 10 downward, Bay Village, Brecksville, Chagrin Falls, Westlake, Rocky River, Hudson, Beechwood, Solon, Moreland Hills, and of course number 1 at Pepper Pike. And now, bonus time, as I promised. I'm going to share with you some of the list of data that you might find helpful, whether you're thinking about, again, moving or relocating. These are some of the best bargain cities. And in order, it is Berea, Brook Park, Cleveland Heights, Amherst, and the number one bargain city in Cleveland, Ohio is Mayfield Heights. Top schools, starting from number 5, working to number 1, is Rocky River, 4 is Orange, Hudson, Beechwood, and number 1, of course, no surprise, Solon. Top safety cities, starting again with number 5, Brecksville, then number 4, Olmsted Falls, Hinckley Township, number 3, Sagamore Hills, and number 1, which we already mentioned, is Moreland Hills for top safety. Lowest property taxes is the next list. Number 5 going to number 1. Number 5 is Chester Township at 1.73%, Richfield Village at 1.68%, Hinckley at 1.65%, Amherst 1.65%, and number 1 is Mentor at 1.61% for Cleveland, Ohio. Highest property taxes, starting at number 5, is Maple Heights, 3.15%, Garfield Heights, 3.5%, Cleveland Heights, 3.72%, University Heights, 3.74%, and Shaker Heights, which I talked about in the Shaker Heights video, 3.77%. I live in the Heights. I love the area, but I hate the property taxes. Last couple to share with you, the top 10 median home price increases. This is a really cool stat. I'm going to run with top 10 in reverse order. Oakwood had a 10-year growth of 152%. Olmsted Falls, 149%. Cleveland Heights, 152%. South Euclid, 156%. Euclid, 180%. Garfield Heights, 187%. Bedford, number 4 at 192%. Lakewood, 210%. Warrensville Heights, 252%. And number 1, with a whopping 267% increase over 10 years, is Maple Heights.
Crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy.
Finally, median home prices will start at number 10. Number 10 is Brecksville, $431,000. Beechwood, $433,000. Hinckley at $439,000. Hudson, $500,000. 6 is Bath at $510,000. And then into the top 5, we have Bainbridge Township, $524,000. Orange Village at $550,000. Chagrin Falls at $551,000. Pepper Pike, $627,500. And finally, Moreland Hills, you remember, is one of the most affluent at the median home price of $732,000.
Quickly, if you had a sharp eye, you would notice that the price difference for the slide I just showed you relative to the earlier slides of median home prices is different. And I believe, even though this is straight from the magazine, page 56 versus page 63 is just a difference in time when they pulled that data. The first data could have been from year 2022. The last data they put in there could have been from the last quarter. As a case of reference, in Moreland Hills in September, right now, the median home price is $828,000. It still should give you a rough idea of the relative home values, but in case you noticed it like me, there is your answer.
You know what? I'm going to throw in sidewalks. I know my wife, for example, loves sidewalks. There were a bunch with a number 1 rank. So Brooklyn, Willowick, Westlake, University Heights, North Olmsted, Lakewood, East Cleveland, and Bay Village are all tied at number 1. They have 100% streets, or 99 to 100% of the streets have sidewalks. Woo! What do you guys think of the rankings? Let me know in the comments if I missed something, if you agree or you disagree with Cleveland Magazine, or you agree or disagree with my opinion. Maybe you think that there should be a city or suburb that should be ranked higher, ranked lower. Maybe there's something that isn't mentioned, or something that you say, hey, people should really consider this. Of course, if you have specific questions about your unique situation, give us a call, text, email, or even schedule a Zoom call with us. The link is in the description. We're always happy to help. I read every comment you guys leave me, even if I don't get a chance to respond to everything. And I will see you guys in the next video.